Good morning, all of you. A very energetic response. I am inspired. Thank you very much. I am Ravindran, the director of this institute. I am going to take a part of your general studies syllabus, that is Indian Polity. So this being the first lecture, we would like to talk something about how to study for this exam before start analyzing what to study for this exam. And further at the outset, I would also like to thank you all for having reposed faith in Vajaram and Ravi by joining the Purling Point's main general studies course. And I assure you the institute will offer many kinds of services and it will do its utmost best to help you academically in whatever way that you need to prepare and crack this examination. Now that for the course that you have joined, the Prelim Comes Mains General Studies course, it does not involve just only one service that is being offered by the institute. By joining this course, you get entitled to receive at least 9 different kinds of services free of cost. And it is essential that you understand what these services to which you are entitled to, so that you will be able to make use of these facilities available free of cost and prepare better for this examination. Now, let me first list the type of services that are offered along with the Prelim Com Mains course for which you have joined. The first and the most important one is that over 300 classroom lectures delivered, each lectures lasting for 2.5 hours, amounting to 750 hours of classroom lectures delivered over the next 10 to 11 months. And during these class teachings, we will cover more than 90 to 95% of the syllabus of general studies, both for the prelims and the mains. Of the 9 services that we offer, that this is the most important service, that the purpose of this service is to provide you conceptual clarity and help you to lay your foundation stronger so that you become more independent and you are able to stand on your own legs and further develop your preparation on your own. The second is current affairs has become a very important part of general studies examination. So because of this, that we are offering about 100 lectures, each of 2 hours, constituting about 200 hours of current lectures on current affairs. A team of teachers will prepare on the various topics that are reported in the newspapers and give you the background information. The newspapers generally, they report about the developments that have taken place in the last 48 hours or so. But to give you the background of the news item, the other related issues, that we will deliver these lectures. Whereas the first one is delivered in the classroom, offline and online. Whereas this will be given to you in the form of recorded video lectures, which will be posted twice a week on the portal of the institute. So you can listen to these, the current affairs lectures, background lectures, and you can feel more comfortable in reading the newspaper thereafter. Then the third is, in order to support your classroom lectures, that we are also delivering 18 volumes of study material on the entire syllabus of general studies. So this study, the 18 volumes will be delivered at intervals. So by this month, end of this month, we will start delivering about 3-4 volumes, and thereafter at regular intervals, we will deliver the rest of the volumes. So these are the study materials which are regularly updated and incorporate the previous year questions while preparing the materials. Then the fourth is to help you to prepare on your current affairs, that we also give you monthly magazine called Recitals, which is the current affairs monthly magazine. You may not have time to cover more than one newspaper a day, but the newspaper may not be very comprehensive in covering everything that has happened in the recent times. So there may be some gaps in the news items that are reported in the newspaper that you follow. To fill up those gaps and to help you to make a comprehensive preparation of the current affairs part, that we compile the news items on a monthly basis by covering 4-5 newspapers and 2-3 magazines and give you in printed form. So the magazine's name is Recitals, and from the month of April onwards, it will be delivered to you in the classroom once a month for the next 12 months. And thereafter, till your main examination gets over, you will have access to the digital format of these recital magazines on the portal of the institute. For the online students, that these recital magazines will be made available only in the form of the digital format on the portal of the institute starting from April 2024 till September 2025, till you complete your main examination. Then the fifth is, in order to help you to apply your knowledge and see how well that you are developing your knowledge base and whether you can apply it practically, we will be holding a prelims test series. Starting from October 2024. From October 2024 to the April-May 2025. In all, 30 tests will be held. Along with that, few CSAT tests will also be held. Initially, these tests will be sectional tests, and thereafter they will be held as a full test. Each test will have 100 questions, objective type questions, and there will be also recorded explanatory the classes, lectures delivered for these 100 questions that are set for each test. So you can assess your performance and you can understand the kind of mistakes that you do. You can understand your strength and weaknesses and take corrective measures to overcome your mistakes and improve and qualify in the prelims. Now, in order to help you to get started with this test series, from in about 1 month's time, that we will start uploading 25 multiple choice questions on a weekly basis on the portal of the institute. So this is to get you started so that slowly you can understand how to answer the objective type questions. And this weekly test consisting of 25 multiple choice questions are being designed to serve two purposes. The one is to see how well you are going through the newspapers and attending the class lectures and whether you can use this knowledge in answering these questions. Second is to give you as a extra the medium for learning. So whatever that the teacher missed in the classroom to teach might be included in the form of questions in the weekly test, so that it will also be a learning process for you. Then to help you to get ready for your main examination, and we will be starting the main examination test series starting from June 2025 to September 2025. About 8 to 12 tests, full test, each lasting for 3 hours, set in the same pattern as the UPSC conducts the main examination, 20 questions each, will be held about a week or 10 days after the prelim exam gets over in the month of June. And this test you can come and take it either in the institute offline or online and submit your answers. They will be evaluated by teachers and they will be corrected and given back to you with the necessary comments that may help you to further improve upon your answer writing. But answer writing is not a easy task. Answer writing involves 3 skills to be developed by you all. The one is the content challenge, that you must have the necessary knowledge to write your answers. This challenge, it includes how to convert your knowledge into a well-structured answer. You may have plenty of knowledge on a given topic of, say, climate change, but the answer has to be written in a maximum of 250 words or 150 words. So you need to develop the necessary skill to convert your vast knowledge on a given topic to the needs of the question that is set in the exam. So that is the first challenge, the biggest challenge. The second challenge is how to present your answer within the specified words, 250 words. The third challenge is how to write your answers within the specified time limit. Generally, you get 7 to 8 minutes to present each answer for the main exam. If you try to develop all the 3 skills necessary together, it will be a very big burden upon you. You may not enjoy the process and you may not be able to achieve your maximum potential. So because of this, in about 1.5 months' time, we will start the answer writing practice, wherein every week we will post 5 questions, main examination questions, weekly questions on the portal, inviting you to write your answers. Either you can, to begin with, write 1 or 2 answers per week, or you can attempt and write answers for all the 5 questions that are posted on the thing. So which means in a month we will give you 20 questions equivalent to 1 main examination test. And initially you take time, even 45 minutes, 1 hour to write your answer. That much of time may be required. Maybe that if you are not satisfied, you may have to make a second draft of your questions. So as I said earlier, the greatest challenge in writing your answers is the conversion of your vast knowledge to the answer on paper. So it will take time, 2, 3, 4 weeks of constant effort every week that will slowly help you to condense your knowledge and present it in an acceptable manner. Thereafter, you can start the second stage of developing the skill to write the answer within the specified word limit, wherein that you may not exceed the word limit by 5 to 10%. And finally, you try the third trick, that is to write the answer within the specified word limit. Therefore, by being regular in taking this answer writing practice that is conducted in the institute, you will slowly get ready to take the main examination more effectively after the prelim exam gets over. Then the last service that we provide you is the mentorship program. mentorship program. This examination, it needs regular preparation. If you have doubts, then you are in the classroom. You can engage with the teachers and they can clarify your doubts. But after reaching home, if you have certain doubts relating to your studies, and if you have problems on non-academic areas, preparation of your timetable, that how to get started with your preparation, selection of optional subject. So general issues, non-academic general issues, you can talk to the mentors. The mentorship program is available both online and offline. So you can visit the website of the portal of the institute, which gives you the details about how to fix an appointment with a mentor, and you can take your date and time. Either you can come and meet them personally or online, and this facility is made available for the online students as well equally. So these are the facilities that we make available. Make use of them and benefit from them, and being constant with your preparation, that you will be able to clear this examination. So this examination is a tough examination, but it is not an insurmountable examination. With necessary hard work, systematic hard work, you can crack this exam. So this is about the kind of services, and I will just go through once more the list that they have given. If I have missed anything, I will add it later. Now the next is the general studies papers. They get selected automatically because they are compulsory. You have to now make your choice of the optionals. And the optional papers are also equally important because you have to get the necessary percentage of marks. Civil services examination, qualifying in this examination actually means scoring above average level marks in all the 7 papers at the main examination and in the interview in the same year. So many students score very well in the general studies papers but may not be able to get the required score in the optionals or in the interviews. So because of this, that you have to get uniformly high marks, above average level marks in all the 7 papers at the main stage and also in the interview. Whereas your score in the main examination will determine whether you are going to join the civil services or not. Your interview score will decide which of the civil services you will be able to join, whether it is IAS or IPS or IFS. That is primarily decided by your score in the interview. So because of this, you have to aim to get uniformly high above the necessary marks in all the papers in the same year. That's very important. So because of this, that you have to pay due attention to the selection of your optional subject as well, right from now onwards. I am not teaching optional subject, but I will give you a general the idea of how to select your optional subject. First of all, you need not have to be in a hurry to select your optional subject immediately. Maybe you can take 15 days, 1 month even, and decide on your optional. The first instruction that I give you is never allow others to select your optional paper. You take up the responsibility of selecting your own optional subject. A subject which works well for your senior friend who scored well in the exam may not work well for you. So the blind selection of the optional subject is to be avoided. But at the same time, consult any number of people necessary for you to get a clarity on the selection of your optional subject. Talk to your friends, your seniors, teachers, or whoever has some knowledge about the optional subject, you consult. So consult any number of people, but ultimate decision must be made by you. The second is that first explore whether you will be able to retain your college subject as your optional subject here. Whether the same subject can be used here for your main examination. That would be the best, because that you have already gained a lot of knowledge. You may not have to spend that much extra time in preparing the same subject once more for the civil services exam, and that will relieve you of time, which extra time can be used to prepare your main the general studies papers and essay papers. However, I would suggest that you go through not only the syllabus of your optional subject for the main examination, but also the past 5-6 years of question papers of the main examination of the UPSC. Because your syllabus actually is defined by your question papers. The depth of knowledge that you need, the type of questions that are asked, the impact of the current affairs on the static part of your optional subject, they can all be gauged only with the help of the question papers, past years question papers. So because of this, go through your subjects past years UPSC question papers for the past 5-6 years and form an opinion. Do I feel comfortable with this subject? Can I answer these questions with or without coaching? Will a test series alone be sufficient? So that kind of doubts that you raise in your minds and find answers. Ultimately, if you feel comfortable and confident that you will be able to prepare your college subject here, take it up. However, if you lack that kind of confidence, if your inner voice raises certain doubts, then don't hesitate to give up your optional subject. Don't stick to it emotionally just because you have studied that subject. Majority of the students who make it into the final list in the civil services exam, they have engineering background. And more than 80% of the science students, they take up an art subject for the civil services exam and qualify. So the art subjects that they are, the humanities subject, they are more popular. So you decide on your own after consulting the necessary kind of people. Suppose you decide to opt out of your college subject as the optional subject here, apply 4 criteria. The first criterion is, see whether you have a passion for a subject. That's the most important thing. Whether you have some kind of inherent interest in the subject. Does newspaper reading interest you? Are you naturally interested to know why the countries are fighting on issues? And why that the Palestinian and Israeli crisis have developed? So if you have that kind of basic inherent interest in knowing about the things that are happening around you, then you can take up political science and international relations as an optional subject. Or if you are interested in understanding the various social dimensions of the Indian society, then you can take up sociology as your optional subject. So see in which subject that you have some kind of extra interest, and accordingly you decide on your optional passion. Then the second is how far the subject has been doing well in the civil services exam. Is it considered to be a scoring subject? That can it be relied upon? Of course, that this trend keeps changing for the subjects, and by consulting people seniors to you, you can understand. Because your passion should also be supported by the subject that you want to choose. Then the third criterion is how far the optional subject can help me in my general studies preparation. Whether it can lend a helping hand in preparing my general studies topics. For example, that this optional subject of public administration can help you to prepare at least 50% of the paper for the ethics paper. It can help to prepare 2/3 of paper 2 of general studies, the Indian polity part and governance part in paper 2 of general studies. So likewise, you see whether it can be of some help to you in your general studies preparation. And the fourth criterion is whether the subject can be prepared within a period of 5 to 6 months, and is reliable coaching is available if I want to take coaching. Can the coaching be completed on time? So apply these factors, consult the teachers and seniors, and finally make up your mind and select your optional subject on your own. However, once you have made up your mind and selected your optional subject, keep looking forward. Don't keep looking backward. Don't listen to people thereafter, because no subject is completely advantageous and no subject is completely disadvantageous. Each subject has its own problems. So because of this, that somebody might project the negative aspects of the subject that you have taken. Oh, this has the vastest syllabus among all the subjects. Why did you select? So once you have made your clear application of mind and selected your optional subject, the focus should be more on how to get the optional subject ready. That should be your approach. If you keep oscillating, you will never settle down with a single optional subject. I have seen candidates struggling with their optional subject selection till the month of October. So because of this, in the next 1 month that you decide maximum. Further, now that we will be primarily introducing the 6 topics of prelim general studies syllabus in the beginning in the classroom. So there will be teachers teaching history, geography, polity, economics, and the social issues. So you will have some idea about what sociology will be all about. You will have some idea about the kind of subject that geography is. You will have some idea about how the elections are held and how the democracy works in India. So because of this, that it will also give you some kind of basic insight into the various subjects that may also help you to prepare for the optional subject. So you must have a clear plan, objective, and selection of the optional subject is a part of that. Now the next is about CSAT. The CSAT papers are getting tougher in the last 2-3 years. First, the UPSC has started shifting more towards the English component of the CSAT paper, which is subjective, not very objective. There can be different answers. So because of this, that the shift is little towards the English component of the CSAT paper. Then the subsequent year, it made the arithmetical component questions lengthier. The shortcuts might not help a candidate to select his answer. One has to really work out the steps to arrive at the answer. So because of this, the paper has become lengthier. So because of this, you might be an engineering graduate or with a science background, economics and commerce graduates. You may not need coaching for CSAT, but you pay attention. Spend about 4 hours, 6 hours per week preparing your CSAT on your own. And for those candidates with social science backgrounds like history, etc., who have some problem with CSAT, they may think of taking coaching. The others may start preparing on their own from now onwards, little by little. My suggestion is don't ignore CSAT papers preparation. Do some preparation and practice questions on your own. So these are the basic issues that you have to do. Now I will take up your questions little later. You may have some doubts, personal related questions. Now I will also talk about how to study for this exam. Let us first see what are the ingredients that are necessary for you to qualify in this exam. For this purpose, you must have some idea about the basic characteristics of the examination, civil services examination. If you look at this examination is a curriculum heavy examination, or in other words, it is a syllabus heavy examination. There is no competitive examination which has as heavy a syllabus as the civil services examination has. For example, your optional subject syllabus is equivalent to the post-graduation course taught in a regular university in India. So what is studied there or taught there in 2 years, that you intend to prepare in about 1 year's time. Then the general studies syllabus includes almost the major subjects, though not in a very specialized manner. So you can see that the general studies syllabus is equivalent to about 1.5 times a post-graduation course in the university. Whereas in the university, the questions, they have a less current affairs impact and more of theoretical application. Whereas in the civil services exam, that the current affairs plays a very crucial role both at the general studies and optional subjects levels. So because of the fact that it is a curriculum heavy examination, you must have the necessary knowledge to write your answers. Ultimately, what you are going to write as answers for those questions are all based upon knowledge. So you have to acquire vast amount of knowledge. Content is going to be your wealth for this examination. And because of this examination requires hard work. Since you have to acquire so much of knowledge on so many subjects in so short a period of time, that you need to work very hard. The first ingredient that this examination needs is hard work, plenty of hard work. This examination is designed where it is suitable to a candidate who is above average level abilities, intellectual abilities, but is extremely committed to hard work, rather than to a candidate who is highly intelligent but not hardworking. So you may be highly intelligent, but if you are not working hard, you cannot gather the necessary knowledge. So because of this examination requires good amount of hard work. And you must be prepared to put forward this. Then the second is hard work alone sufficient? Because there are large number of candidates who really work hard over years. In fact, that along with hard work, what we need is called intelligent hard work. The hard work that one does should not be blind hard work. It should be purposeful hard work. It should be result-oriented hard work. An intelligent hard work that leads to what is known as flawless learning. The learning that you do should be flawless. It should not be blind learning, but purposeful learning. Flawless learning means complete clarity over what you have learned. Total clarity over what you learned. You are able to understand why, how, what, when, where of what you have studied. Complete clarity which gives you the ability to articulate what you have learned. what you have learned over 1 hour, that you are able to just explain in simple terms in 5 minutes. And that is what you are going to write in your exam. Flawless learning also means comprehensive coverage of what you have, what the topic that you study. Are you clear with your topic from A to Z? So that whatever questions that are asked on a given topic, you are able to write your relevant answer. So it is this kind of learning that actually leads you to flawless learning, and flawless learning makes you a master of the subject that you have been preparing over the months, and you will be able to write the most simplified form of the complex subject in the most simplified manner, impress the examiner and get your marks. Then the third aspect, characteristic of this flawless learning is that effective recall of what you have studied. Whether you are able to recall what you have studied over the months effectively and write your answers. So in the main examination, you have to write your answers that 4,000 words over 20 questions in 3 hours. You cannot afford to think, organize your points, start writing, stop, think, write, etc. Once you read the question and understand the question and understand the scope of the question, meaning and scope of the question, you should be able to write the answer continuously and without much thinking. So you must have all the knowledge you have gained at your fingertips. You must keep them at your fingertips. You must be able to readily recall what all you have the prepared over the months. And of course, effective recall comes with a lot of effort. It needs regular revision. So, regular revision is also essential, because what you studied in the first 2 months of your preparation is half forgotten after 7-8 months. So there must be repeated revisions in order to keep your recall effectiveness. So this is how that you have to prepare. So the end result of your hard work should be flawless learning. And how to achieve flawless learning? Can there be certain techniques that can help you to understand flawless learning? How to ensure that everyday reading that you provide is productive? It's not time that is wasted at your desk. The one technique is that you must develop an inquiring mind. You must have an exploring mind, that you must be able to ask questions to yourself and find answers and develop clarity. For example, you must be able to answer questions like how, why, what, when, where, which, so that you get a comprehensive coverage of your whole topic. When Rudyard Kipling won the Nobel Prize in English in literature, and when he was asked that how it was possible for him, he said that he won the Nobel Prize because of the assistance given by 6 of his honest servants. And when he was asked to name those 6 servants, he said the names of those servants were how, why, what, when, where, and which. So these are the servants who helped me. So therefore, by raising questions and developing doubts, you seek clarity. And the clarity gives you the complete control over the subject matter. So because of this, anything that you study, you must be able to explore and ask questions. Having an inquiring mind is a kind of skill. And the skill is something which can be developed over a period of time, 4-5 weeks. And why he called them as honest servants? Because good habits are your servants. Bad habits are your worst masters. If you are addicted to drinking and smoking, you are a slave to that bad habits. So likewise, that they can be made into habits by constantly asking this and asking these questions and finding answers over a period of 4 to 5 weeks. Then the second is understand the way that the human brain works. The second technique that we suggest is that what is known as practicing the system of restructuring in your mind. What you have studied. Aristotle had written an essay more than 2000 years ago on how to study. And Aristotle says, when you read something, for example, if you translate this into modern way that we read the books, if you take a book and if you pick up a page, there are about 30-40 sentences that are printed on the page, on a single page. And the fact is, not all these 30-40 sentences are equally important. Some sentences are more important, some sentences are less important, and the other sentences are least important. The sentences that contain the core ideas explained by the author, they are the most important sentences. The sentences that explain these core ideas are less important. So because of this, what we do, we give equal importance to all the 40 sentences. We don't differentiate between most important sentences and less important sentences. We give importance to the core ideas and all other ideas equally. So what Aristotle says is, apply your mind and underline those core ideas. And probably that now you are left with only 6-7 sentences out of 40 sentences where the core ideas are present. Focus more on these core ideas. Run those ideas in your mind once, twice to recapitulate, recall that what are the main ideas that you have understood from that entire page, which can be summarized in about 5-6 ideas, 5-6 sentences. That's all you need. If you have understood these core ideas, 5-6 ideas set in the paper, in the page, and if you are able to remember them, then you have descriptive abilities that you have developed over the past 15-16 years of school and college education. Can you all write a good letter to your friends? Yes, you can. What do you need to write? Content. If you have the content, you can always write a good letter to your friends. The same thing applies here as well. These are the ideas. Content. And once you have understood these contents, registered in your minds, when you need to, that apply these ideas, content, use this content and expand it into a 250-word answer. You need not have to worry about your descriptive abilities, they are already present. What you need is a good content, clarity over what you are going to write in your description. So that is how that you can summarize. So the second system of restructuring is nothing but summarizing the essentials of what has been written in a single page in about 5-6 points. And that's all, that you repeat them in your mind once, twice, thrice, you repeat them. And it is said that within 24 hours of learning something new, the human mind tends to forget 50% of it. So the maximum forgetfulness takes place within 24 hours after you have learned something for the first time. During those 24 hours, you have familiarity with the subject matter. You don't have knowledge of the subject matter. Familiarity means if somebody talks about that topic, you feel comfortable. Yes, I have read. But you will not be able to recollect on your own and articulate it. So therefore, the repeated revision after this recall will help you to learn better over a period of time. So both are skills, and if you practice them for 4-5 weeks, that you will be able to develop these skills. So this is how that you have to ensure there is quality in your learning. The time you spend at your desk is spent productively. Then the next is should you make notes? Well, you are going to refer not only the study material given by Vajiram and Ravi, you are going to refer to other source materials as well. Your friends would be suggesting something, you might. And we also suggest that you should have access to 2 sets of source materials. And newspapers, they are published every day. And because of this, ultimately, the source materials that you would have collected will be very vast. And whenever you want to revise what you have studied from the earlier source materials, you cannot go back to the original source material and start revising it. It will be too cumbersome, and it will be equivalent to juggling with 3-4 balls, and you are likely to drop something. Your effective revision will get disturbed. Because of this, notes making is extremely necessary for you to bring the vast syllabus under control. The top rankers they have prepared good notes. If you prepare notes, you are actually reducing the vast stretch of material, source material into the making is very important. There was a candidate who was just 22 years old when he got through in his very first attempt with a 10th rank. He was a raw graduate from Delhi University. And when he was asked how it was possible for him to make it into the top ranks in his very first attempt at a very young age, he said it was all because of the effective notes he prepared for himself. And the effective notes, how it helped him? First, it helped him to develop clarity. Second, it helped him to give at least 8 to 10 revisions before he sat for the exam. Large number of revisions. And third, that effective answer writing, because you cannot write whatever you know in your exam. You have to write everything within the specified word limit. So it helped him to be more brief in writing his answers. And because of this, that you have to prepare notes for various reasons. And notes making is not a two-way process. You read the source material, the book, textbook or newspaper, underline the important points that you find out. And notes making doesn't mean copying them down in your notebook. It's not a two-way process of transferring the information from the original source material to your notebook. It's not a system of copying. Notes making is a three-way process. You mark the important sentences, run these 5-6 sentences in your mind in the bullet format and understand them. What you have understood must be written down here. So the transformation of the knowledge, not the message, knowledge from the textbook to your understanding, and what is understood here is written down in the notebook. So it's a three-way communication, which means what you have already written down in your note is understood. You are already familiar with what you have understood, what you have written down. In the system of restructuring that I told you, that you mark the 5-6 sentences or ideas, the core ideas, run them in your mind 2-3 times, understand them. The last restructuring that you do can be reduced into writing. The last time you are able to restructure, the third time that you are able to restructure the core ideas completely in your mind, the last restructuring that you do, that you reduce into writing in your notebook. So because of this, the system of restructuring can be effectively combined with the notes making. And it can be done on a daily basis, and topic wise it can be done. Once the notes is well made by you, you can discard the original source material. And thus the vast source material can be condensed into small notes, handheld notes, which you can revise many times. So that is how notes making gives you clarity over the subject matter, better understanding of the subject matter, vaster revisions, and effective recall. So many benefits that it confers. So notes making must be done. Now when you go to the mentors, you take a topic, prepare your notes, go with your notes and sit with the mentor. Let him go through the original source material and the notes that you have made, and it will be easy for him to suggest measures. Look, you missed this important point. Look, you are included unimportant issues. He can help you. Instead of going and asking the mentor how to make notes. Nobody can teach you how to swim theoretically. The best way to learn swimming is you have to jump into the pool. Drink some amount of water, force that you sink few times, you struggle, then only you learn. Likewise, do not go to the mentor with a very lazy, irresponsible and underprepared way of asking how to prepare notes. Instead, take a news item that is reported in the papers, apply your own mind, prepare your notes, make all the mistakes, and go with the sample of the notes that you have made to the mentor, so that he will be able to understand where your strength lies and where your weakness lies, and he can help you, and it will be more effective, it will be time saving. So you should also be responsible. Then the next important thing is how to read the newspaper. So for this purpose also, that we will help you in the form of the mentors, that you can go and sit with them after having marked something and understood something and discuss with them. But generally speaking, a newspaper has two types of news items. The one is news reporting and the other is news analysis. Primarily, the newspapers, they indulge in news reporting. Their aim is to reach the latest developments that happened in the last 24 hours to the general public as early as possible. And because of this, the news reporting is factual. It merely reports the developments that had taken place, that 17 Indian crew were part of the hostages taken by Iran. And even the 17 names of the Indians may be mentioned, the states to which they belong. These are all unimportant. Whereas on the other hand, the newspapers generally do not report about the background information. Why there is a rising escalation of tension between Iran and Israel, and why the USA does not agree with Israel on the issue of two-state solution to the Palestinian crisis. So this kind of background information is given in special columns in the newspapers, and that is known as news analysis. News analysis is more important for your examination. News analysis comes in the form of editorials, the center page articles, the interviews of the eminent personalities, the science and technology column that appears once or twice a week, the frequently asked question column, then the explained column, text and context. Likewise, there are special columns that appear in the newspaper that give you the analysis. And pay greater attention to these analysis. Now, in order to help you to read the newspaper effectively, every day in the portal of the institute and also in the social, the media links, Vajaram and Ravi suggest you those news items that alone are to be read from the Hindu and the Indian Express, so that you can leave out all the other news items that are not recommended by Vajaram and Ravi. You just go through only those news items that are recommended by Vajaram and Ravi. They are the news items that are relevant for this examination. Go through them so that you will be able to save a lot of time. And prepare some news items and regularly sit with your mentors and get your doubts clarified, and also slowly understand how to read the newspaper. Let me tell you one thing. If you are not regular with reading the newspapers so far, and if you are going to read newspapers, rather you are going to study newspaper, having decided to sit for the civil services exam, you must stop reading newspaper, you should start studying newspaper. Because what you study from the newspaper must be reproduced in the exam. So there is a difference between the grandfather reading the newspaper all through the day and a civil services aspirant studying it for the exam purpose, which means you should treat the newspaper as textbook. So because of this, that you will take about 4 or 5 weeks before you start feeling comfortable in reading the newspaper. Till the time you have to be a little patient with your newspaper reading. So it takes time to develop that kind of skill and take the help of the mentors. Then the next is form a effective timetable. Anything that is measured grows. Anything that is ignored, that simmers. So because of this, you must measure on a daily basis how many hours of study that you put in, so as to bring in some kind of discipline and some kind of control over your time, that you should know how you are spending time. And for this purpose, form a timetable. For example, you are going to spend 2.5 hours in the classroom. And the teacher will teach you in 2.5 hours much more than what you can learn on your own over 2.5 hours. And the teacher brings in all his past experience, knowledge, the current developments to help you to learn the subject faster and clear in 2.5 hours. This is compulsory. Now, at least 1.5 hours you have to spend in revising what has been taught in the class to slowly convert the knowledge of the teacher into your own knowledge. So which means that a minimum of 4 hours you are going to spend with your general studies topic. And another 2.5 hours you are going to spend in covering your newspaper. Anyway, in the initial part, it may take about 3.5 hours, but slowly you can reduce it. So, you have to cover the newspaper every day. You cannot allow the newspaper reading to accumulate. So, minimum 6.5 hours that you have to spend. Apart from this, the topics of general studies syllabus that are familiar to you, which you had studied earlier in your school and colleges, can be taken up independently outside the classroom schedule for self-study and preparation. So you give yourself another 2.5 hours to take up, say for example, geography and history. So you give yourself 1 month, 2 months to go through the NCERT books on any 2 given topics of general studies in which you are more familiar. Develop self-knowledge. And when the same topics are taught at a higher level by the teacher in the classroom, you are able to run with the teacher's teaching. You are able to sail smoothly with him. So you must engage yourself for at least 9 hours. Minimum. You cannot miss this. And once the optional subject coaching starts, and if you decide to join optional subject, then you have to, for next 5-6 months, you have to find time to attend classes for optional subject. Maybe here you can cut short the time on your self-study. You can devote these 2.5 hours for optional subject coaching class and 1.5 hours of revision. So likewise, that apply your mind according to your own convenience, that you form a timetable. Even the study timetable can be discussed with the mentor. He can suggest you some useful issues, because these mentors are your senior friends who had gone up to the interview stage twice or so, who has good knowledge of the subject, and the most importantly, the latest developments of the civil services exam they will be able to help you. So prepare a timetable and stick to the timetable, and at the end of the day, see how well you have sailed through the timetable you have set for yourself. So these are the basic issues that you must understand and follow. Be disciplined. Don't run after too many source materials. As I said, that if well selected, 2 source material may be sufficient for you to qualify in this exam. What is important is quality source materials which are selected carefully, which are revised 7-8 times, is more important than running after 7-8 source materials and ending up with 2 revisions. That is not the success formula. So don't run after too many source materials. And be regular with your studies. So these are the issues that I wanted to talk to you for the time being. I don't want to talk too much also, because much of the things may go above your head. So I will keep talking for about 15 minutes, half an hour on regular intervals when I come for the coverage of the option, the polity part of the general studies syllabus. So now each teacher will begin his classes with a list of suggested books. So don't bother about that. I will begin today with a list of suggested books for Indian polity. Likewise, the other teachers also would do the same thing. So don't worry about that. In the next 1 week, you will get complete list of books. Right now, if there anything that is left out, they have given me the list of things to be read out. So do you have the address of the portal of the institute? So Vajaram IAS.com. So this is the address of the portal. You can access it. First, to find out what are the news items of the day's Hindu newspaper and Indian Express, that alone are to be covered. Then second, the weekly timetable that will be announced every Saturday for you. Then third, if there is any change in the timetable announced earlier, that change will also be informed through the portal. Any other communication, then also the handouts that the teachers give, they will be given in printed form here in the institute. For online students, they can download it from the portal of the institute. Then all other issues relating to fixing the appointment with the mentors, etc. can be done through the portal. You can also submit your answer writing practice, the assignments, and submit them through the portal. So all these things can be done through the portal. So then every day at 5 p.m. in the evening on the YouTube, that we have the analyst session. So the important news items that were reported in the day's newspaper will be briefly discussed by the current affairs experts of Vajaram and Ravi on the YouTube. So you can listen to that also for your current update. So the mentoring session that I have mentioned. So the 5 questions on answer writing for the main examination and 25 questions, multiple choice questions for the prelims will be posted on the portal every Sunday. Right. Then for online and offline students, recorded lectures of this batch would be available for 2 days after this class gets over. So if you missed something during the course of the 2.5 hours lectures, or if you want to listen to the lectures once more, that the recorded lectures of the class lectures will be made available for 2 days after the class gets over. And at the last 3 months before your prelim exam, we will allow you to have access to these recorded lectures for revision purposes. The announcement will be made later on what basis it will be done. Of course, free of cost. So these are the major issues that I wanted to. Now, before I introduce the subject of Polity, if you have any personal doubts relating to your preparation, that you can ask me. Louder. Essay again is unlike the other papers, that essay for the civil services exam is again going to be knowledge based. And you cannot prepare everything at one go. I suggest that do not worry about the essay preparation for the time being. Let you gain knowledge so that you will be able to get the content to write the essay. But of course, that essay is not part of the course that we are offering you as Prelim cum Mains General Studies. That's why I did not mention anything about the essay classes as part of the 9 services which are made available free of cost. You wait, don't try to do too many things at the same time, you will end up doing nothing. Do you think that you will find the 10, 11 hours on a consistent basis all 7 days of the week? And there is not enough time that I have assigned to your optional subject preparation. Where do you find time for your essay? So then you have to talk to the essay teacher outside the classroom because it's not part of the prelim cum mains general studies course. Right. Anything else? Any other question?
So what is the right time to go for the session?
CSET classes, if you want to take coaching for CSET, better take it in the first half of the general studies course. The general studies course is for 10 months. Better take it in the first 5 months of that period. But please do not take coaching for general studies, optional subjects, CSET all simultaneously. You will be ending up sitting only in the classroom throughout the day. So because of this, you take the CSET classes now, and the second half of the 5 months of the general studies course from October onwards will keep you busy because you will have to do revision to get ready for the prelims test series. The prelim tests will be held once in a fortnight and you will need time to prepare. Right, anything else? It won't be a common, it won't be optional, then it is compulsory. I do not know about these things. There had been many suggestions about reforms, but if you see, actually very little had ever become practical. So let us work on what the current syllabus is, and if any reform is introduced and changes are introduced, the UPSC will give at least 1 or 2 years of time before implementing it. Don't worry about those reforms. There is a strong rumor the optional subjects may be abolished, but I don't know. Yes? Initially, the test series for the prelims from October onwards will be online. When it gets to the full-length test, it can be held in the institute also. Online and offline both. Yes?
Sir, apart from the version of the 20 notes, is it advisable to make our own notes from the standard material?
Yes. For example, you make your class notes in your notebook. My suggestion is you leave 1/3 of the page on the right side of the notebook blank. You make the class notes that what the teacher teaches in the notebook. For example, the teacher teaches rule of law. You make the class notes that he combines the static knowledge, the theoretical knowledge with the current developments and gives you the wholesome knowledge. You go home and revise rule of law from 1 or more source materials. Any extra pieces of information that you get on the rule of law, you write them down at the end of the topic. After 3 months that you come across a news item in the newspaper where the Supreme Court, for example, has talked about rule of law, something new that you come across. Now this latest information on rule of law can be written down here. And thus you are at one place effectively combining the class notes, the theoretical knowledge of the subject with the latest developments. So everything is at one place. So this way that you don't have to make multiple sources, the notes making. Yes, any other question? How many? Initially, we will introduce the 5 subjects, 5 topics which are part of the prelim syllabus. Because they are the core syllabus, they are common for the main examination also. So thereafter, we will slowly introduce the other subjects. Normally, about 2-3 subjects may go parallelly per week. Yes.
Is there a library associated with the institute where we can access all the books that we read?
No, there is no library facility provided in the institute. It's Delhi, real estate is very expensive, we cannot make libraries. Right, now let us run through those questions of the online students. What should be the precise time to start with the CSAT preparation? Any time is right, and as I suggested, preferably in the first half of the general studies course, which lasts for 10 months. Should we adopt the various strategies posted by the All India rank holders? Yes. But you know, if you go through 2 or 3 rank holders' suggestions, you get almost a comprehensive view of how to prepare for this exam. Thereafter, if a candidate keeps running after rank holders, he is lazy. He doesn't believe in implementing what he has already learned into practical use. So, action. Once you have done basic research, understood how to prepare for this exam, then you should get into action, not running after others, the rank holders. Just to go through 2-3 rank holders' ideas, that will do. The teachers also give you suggestions. You may introduce small changes in your overall strategy to prepare for this exam, but don't keep changing your strategies. Can we rely on coaching material like without referring to standard books? No. If anybody suggests for an examination of this nature that you can rely on us and you will pass, he is misleading you. I don't suggest that what Vajiram teaches alone will be sufficient. We can't say that. But vastly what we teach here will be sufficient. As I said that you make 2 source materials. One source material, Vajiram and Ravi. The other source material which you carefully select. If these 2 well selected source materials are revised 7-8 times, you are likely to qualify. Is GS4 also covered in this course? Yes, the ethics paper also will be covered as part of this PCM course. Will the recording of the lectures only last for 2 days or will it remain with this course? So you will get the recording of this today's class for 2 more days. And 3 months before your prelim exam, that these lessons will be again uploaded for you to revise. What would be the schedule of the class, that is which topic, which subject? So those will be announced every Saturday in the timetable that is given by the institute. Can online students visit the institute for mentoring session? Of course, that if you want to, you can get your offline mentoring appointments done all as well. Can we skip newspaper study for initial summons? No. This is an oft asked question. Since Recitals magazine is covered over 4-5 newspapers and 2-3 magazines, why should we waste our time in going through the newspaper daily? There is something called active learning, there is something called passive learning. That if you go through one newspaper regularly and form your own knowledge base, you are indulging in active learning from the newspaper. You will develop newspaper sense so that you will be able to make the maximum use of what the Recital magazine gives you. If you just go through the Recital magazines without knowing how things develop, by going through the newspaper, you may not be able to make the best use of the newspaper, the Recitals magazine. Recital magazines no doubt will definitely help you in filling up the gaps that you have in your newspaper coverage. But to understand, yes, these are the gaps, you must have read the newspaper. So I don't suggest skip the newspaper. Reading the newspaper meticulously on a daily basis is very important. How to make from the newspapers? Yes, that as I suggested that you underline the news, the important things from your news item and understand them and then jot them down in telegraphic language. You don't have to make your notes in complete sentences. You can make it in telegraphic languages. And thereafter take the help of the mentors. So NCERT books, suggested book list I will give you, and other teachers will also give as they begin their classes. Is going through the analyst session and reading newspapers the same. The analyst session that is uploaded on the YouTube every day at 5 o'clock in the evening gives you the background information. It will be much more than what you can gather on your own from the newspaper. It will help to add your basic knowledge that you have developed on your own by going through the newspaper. If you have gone through the newspaper, familiarized yourself with what the newspaper has reported, then the analysis session will be far more helpful to you. Then you can just fix them up and join them up and make your comprehensive preparation. So the analyst on the YouTube will be more informative than what you read in the newspaper. Can the online students get access to hard copy of recitals magazine sent with Vajram? No. Online students would be given only the digital format of the recital magazines for 16 to 18 months. When will be the recorded lecture be uploaded in the portal after the live classes? Maybe we will take how much time only? Today's lectures will be uploaded maximum by day after tomorrow. When will should we make notes from the live lectures for each subject? Of course that it is, because the teachers are not going to run through. That they will go slow, make use of the board, write things, and if you don't follow you can ask questions. Better you make notes. Initially that it may be little difficult for you to listen and understand and simultaneously make notes. But if you have that idea, focus, you will be able to develop it within a short period of time. And another important thing, psychological thing that I want to tell you, do not expect overnight results. Don't think that I have read the Indian polity today, good, I have gained. But if you try to recollect next day, you will not be able to recollect more than 20%. The human brain is not a computer. It has not been designed to store information. So how the process of learning is completed, that you read something, soak your brain with the knowledge, with the message, and with soaking slowly that it percolates down. What you have understood, it percolates down. And so soaking, percolation of knowledge, and what is percolated is understood. It is understanding comes at the third stage of your learning. And what is understood is that assimilated. So therefore there are 4 stages of learning, and you have to be patient with your own brain. If you are in a hurry to get results, the result will be frustration, because you are very impractical. Even for a teacher like me, that I need 2 hours of revision preparation when a new session begins. So because of this, that be patient with your learning, and there is a reason why we start the prelim test series in October. By the time you would have become more familiar with the subject matter, and you would have gone to at least the 3rd stage of learning. So because of this, but at the same time, it doesn't mean that I want you to be lazy. Keep studying hard for at least 8 to 9 hours daily, including the class attendance. But at the same time, that be sincere with your studies, but don't expect too big results overnight. It takes, in business circles, It is said that it takes 10 years to make overnight success. So be patient with your learning. So what about essay, English language subject, English language, Hindi, etc. we can't teach. Essay, that yes, that the institute makes facilities, you talk to the administration. What strategy should be followed by the candidates who are going to prepare with jobs? It's you have to burn your midnight oil for longer, because maybe that those who are employed, they have to make use of their Saturdays and Sundays and other holidays more effectively, and you have to be little selective and prioritize what is to be studied first and what is to be studied little later. Do we need to prepare separate notes for newspaper? Yes, of course, newspaper should be prepared separately in a notebook. For polity, which other source do you suggest other than Vajram? That I will suggest. When should we start optional test series? Optional test series wise, well, when you attend the optional classes, coaching, for example, if you decide to, and the teachers will give you answer writing practice. But the test series for optional subject may have to wait till you finish your prelim exam, because from my experience, I don't think that you will get time to spend on your optional test series before taking the prelim exam. So as I said, don't try to do too many things at the same time. You will end up doing nothing. Can we not verbally ask questions if you have doubts during the lecture about any topic? No, you have to type your messages. By which month can we expect the syllabus of GS would be completed? So 10 to 11 months from now onwards. Our NCRTs must be read on beforehand. Yes, if you read something beforehand and come, obviously you will feel a little more familiar with what the teacher teaches. You will feel comfortable. But it is not a necessity, because many of you would have just passed out of college. You would not have had time to go through anything relating to the civil services exam by now. But the class lectures are designed in such a way that we believe that everybody starts from the scratch. We will start from the basics. Should the preparation for prelim and mains be done simultaneously? Yes, of course. 6 topics are common for both prelims and mains. It should be done simultaneously. The only thing is the approach varies. For the prelims, it is more of factual information and its application, whereas for the main examination, it is more of analysis and practice tests. Right, these are the major questions, right? Yes? Well, he says how to make use of these 2.5 hours in reading the newspaper. First, before opening the newspaper, you open the portal. Identify what are the topics that have been recommended for you to cover from that day's newspaper, mark them. You read the newspaper and underline what you think is important. Initially, you may end up underlining the whole page, whole news item. But after about a period of 2 weeks, when you realize that you had been underlining too much, feel happy. Yes, I have started learning. That is the first sign of learning. You have started learning that how to apply your mind, that you are able to distinguish between what is important and what is less important. And what you consider is important that you underline, you try to run it down, run it in your mind once, twice, recapitulate, recollect, and without such recollection that you will not be able to remember. And what you are able to restructure in your mind, you write them down in the notebook. and prepare the notes for your newspaper subject wise, not date wise. So take a A4 size notebook. The first 80 pages you can devote to Indian economy, next 80 pages for Indian polity. Likewise, you divide the notebook into 2-3 sections. Whatever that you come across on Indian economy, facts and figures from the newspaper, you write it them in the Indian economy section. Don't write date wise, but subject wise you write. So at the end of 6 months period, you will find that you have very good collection of latest developments above your textbook knowledge have been collected at one place. And these news items that you make it in a notebook, so you can take it after 1 week to the mentor, show it to him with the original news item. So that is it okay? Have I done a good job of making notes from the newspaper to my notebook? Only with this kind of examples in front of the mentor, he will be able to guide you better. So without having walked, if you say, sir, how to walk, that it will be only a theoretical answer. Without any work having been done by you, if you just go and fold your hands and say that how to study, he is going to give you a theoretical knowledge. And you are not going to benefit much. That is why whatever, even if the notes that you prepare is not up to your satisfaction, you feel rather ashamed, oh, I have made such a loose material. It doesn't matter. It is from error to error we are going to achieve excellence. It is by making mistakes in our studies and understanding these mistakes, we can go to the next step of what are the remedies to these mistakes, how to correct these mistakes. So it is in this way that you identify your mistakes and correct them. Don't be afraid of making that kind of mistakes. I have made a lot of mistakes. So I remember that in school that I read as permafrost in geography. My teacher asked me to read. In the class I stood up and I said permafrost. And the whole class laughed. And that mistake I will never repeat. So because of this, do the work first. I have given you a general instruction. Thereafter, why we have appointed so many mentors? To help you out. You go with your work, homework done. You go there with your assignment and talk to them. So that is how that you have to improve. Be positive. And as somebody said, that will joining Vajram and Ravi and the material alone will be sufficient. So that there can be nothing like that. Then it means that only the Vajram student should qualify in the IAS exam. Your work is more important. I cannot sit and write your answers. And the UPSC keeps an eye on the coaching institutes and what they teach. So because of this, that be positive. You think that how well I can prepare. Don't think that how well I can minimize my work. Will all the subjects of GS prelims will be taught like biology, chemistry, physics? No. We will teach more on the basis of the current exam developments. In the prelim syllabus, what is given is general science. But what is asked in the prelim papers? Science and technology, most current. We give you study material on the school level physics, chemistry and life sciences. But what is taught in the class is science and technology, more of current developments. We are also adapting according to the way the question papers are changing over the years. Right. So now I will introduce Indian polity. First, the suggested books. Class notes on Indian polity. Then 2 volumes of study material on Indian polity. Then the third is the NCERT books are extremely helpful to lay your basic knowledge when it comes to history and geography. In polity, that there are not many useful books in NCERT, but for your geography and Indian history, you have to necessarily go through the NCERT books. The respective teachers will make you the book list. Then the fourth is newspapers. Recitals. Current affairs recorded lectures. So these are all for current polity, current Indian polity. Then the next is, so by default you would have all bought books already, or you must have heard already that Indian polity by Lakshmikant, published by McGraw-Hill's. Or this is basic book, or you can take Indian polity simplified. So this book, either of these two you buy. This is very elaborative, too much information may be there, but this is more simplified, especially for those who have some basic knowledge of polity. This book will be useful. So this author keeps writing articles once in a way in the Hindu newspaper as well. Or Indian polity by what is known as, that is, Spectrum. So don't buy all of them, you buy one of them. The difference between these Spectrum and the McGraw-Hill's books is, the Spectrum is bulkier. It contains the content printed in 2 different color pages, white color and blue color. The white color devotes to giving you the static knowledge on the subject, the theoretical knowledge. The blue color pages, they give you the latest developments collected from the newspapers on a given topic. For example, immediately at the end of the topic on governor, few pages of blue pages are added, which gives you the latest development, controversies, the Supreme Court decision. So in this respect, this book is more comprehensive. It helps you to get ready for the main examination also. So either of these things you can. Apart from this, the test series, that also will be a learning process. So the first topic on Indian Constitution, thematically I will discuss few topics in the first two classes to give you the basic conceptual clarity. The current affairs recorded videos will be available till you take your main examination in September 2025. Right, if you have the 6th edition of Lakshmikant, I think that will do not much of a difference with the 7th edition. Right, what is Constitution? Well, we have many laws that are working in the country, used in the administration. Why should we study only the Constitution as part of the general studies syllabus for the civil services exam? Why not IPC or the BNS Act that is going to enter into force from 1st July? Because as district magistrates or as superintendent of police, you are going to apply more often the criminal law in your daily administration of the district. Why the Constitution? Is there something special about the Constitution? Yes. There is something special about the Constitution. What are those characteristics of the Constitution? The first and the most important characteristic is the Constitution is regarded as the supreme law of the land. So the Constitution is called the supreme law of the land. As we said, that inquiring mind, instead of passively receiving this, okay, supreme law of the land, you actively engage your thoughts and ask yourself, what is law of the land? Unless you ask what is law of the land, you will not be able to develop your knowledge beyond what is stated in the book. If you passively read, your knowledge is going to confine to what is stated obviously in the book. You are not able to explore and find out more. So that is why the inquiring mind should prompt you to ask, what do you mean by law of the land? So law of the land means all those laws that are used for the administration of the country. So all the sum total of all the laws, the sum total of all the laws that are used for the administration of the country are collectively known as the law of the land. So many times you come across in the newspapers, the news, that the law will take its own course. Kejriwal has been arrested, so the law will take its own course, which means that the applicable law will be used to deal with the issue. And if the law of the land includes all the laws, what are they? So the law of the land then includes what? It includes the constitution of the country. It includes the constitution of the country. Second, it includes the statutory laws. Statutory laws. So what do you mean by statutory laws? laws that are passed by the higher legislature. The laws that are passed by the higher legislatures are collectively known as statutory laws. What is higher legislature? What is lower legislature? The parliament and the state legislatures are known as higher legislatures. The panchayat and the municipalities are known as the lesser legislature, not lower but lesser legislatures. So, only those laws which are made by the parliament and the state legislatures, they are collectively known as statutory laws. Can you give examples of statutory laws? Yes, they are. For example, the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, which has been quite often in the news. Then BNS Act, that is not at IPC, Indian Penal Code, Criminal Procedure Code. Then the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act. This is also in the news. So likewise, there are thousands of laws which have been made by the parliament and the state legislatures over the past 70 years or so. They are all collectively known as the statutory laws. Then third, ordinances. Ordinances. So the parliament is not in session all throughout the year, you know. And whenever the parliament is not in session, and if the country needs a urgent law to be made, then the president proclaims a ordinance. And the ordinance is the same as statutory law. It is also equally valid legally speaking. The only difference is the statutory law is made by the legislature and it is permanent. Whereas an ordinance is made by the executive, that is the president, and it is temporary. It is valid for a fixed period of time only. Otherwise, there is no difference between statutory laws and the ordinances. Then the fourth is judicial decisions. Judicial decisions. Judicial decisions means the judgments of the Supreme Court and the High Courts, not the subordinate courts. Judicial decisions means the important judgments made by the higher judiciary. For example, privacy, right to privacy has been made as a fundamental right by the Supreme Court. So therefore, the Supreme Court decision that recognized right to privacy as a fundamental right is a part of the law of the land. If the government makes any law, then the law should not violate the right to privacy now because it has become part of the law of the land. Then the fifth is applicable provisions of international law. Applicable provisions of international law. So international law is the body of rules and regulations that govern the relationship among the sovereign and independent countries and international organizations like the United Nations. So the internal issues relating to India are governed by the domestic laws, constitution, etc. What about India's relations with China? India's relations with Pakistan? How to regulate our relations? That is given under the rules and regulations collectively known as the international law. For example, that the CPEC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, an agreement signed between Pakistan and China, is a part of international law. It regulates one aspect of the China-Pakistan relations. But it has no relevance to India. Why should we bother about what Pakistan and China decide? So only applicable provisions of international law are parts of the law of the land of India, but not the entire international law. For example, that the UN Security Council, it passed a resolution about a fortnight ago that calling upon a truce between the Israel and Hamas in Gaza. That has no application to India. So that is not part of the law of the land of India, only applicable rules. On the other hand, Indus Water Treaty 1960 signed between India and Pakistan to regulate the use of waters of Indus River system. This is part of applicable provisions of international law. We are bound by the Indus Water Treaty. So therefore, those provisions of international law which are applicable to India are parts of the law of the land of India. Then the next is bylaws. Bylaws. So the Prevention of Genocide Convention 1948 is applicable provision. We are bound by it. India is bound by the Genocide Convention 1948. Right, what are bylaws? These are the laws made by lesser legislatures, the panchayat and the municipalities. Then the next is rules, regulations. Rules, regulations, notifications, orders, directions, etc. that are framed by the governments. The central government, the state government, the governments of the union territories. So these are all the rules, regulations, notifications, orders, directions, etc. So if the pollution level goes up in Delhi, the Delhi government issues a notification stopping all construction activities. It may issue a notification that odd even car numbers alone can play on certain dates. So likewise, this kind of the lesser issues that are regulated by the executive, by the government. So these are made by the legislatures. The last one is personal laws. Personal laws. So the personal laws are the practices and customs that regulate the personal issues of religious communities. Personal issues are marriage, divorce, adoption of children, and inheritance to properties. These are the 4 issues which are part of the personal laws. Only these 4 issues. So these 4 issues relating to religious communities are not regulated by the laws made by the state, but they are regulated by the religious practices and customs that originated within the religious community. The Muslims have a separate personal law, the Hindus have a separate personal law, etc., etc. So these are the these are the 8 categories of laws that constitute the law of the land. Now, for example, these personal laws, when it comes to, whereas the first 7 laws are made by the state institutions. State institution, government bodies, the executive, the legislature and the judiciary. Who makes this? Non-state actors, like the religious practices, customs followed within a community. So therefore they were not made by the state. The personal laws were not made by the state, but the personal laws are subject to control by the state. For example, the Muslims had this triple talaq as a system of divorce. The parliament enacted a law under which the triple talaq has now been made a criminal act. So therefore, even though these personal laws are not made by the state, but these personal laws are subject to control by the state, the executive, the legislature and the judiciary. Now what happened to the personal law in Uttarakhand? It has been made into Uniform Civil Code. Say for example, the parliament tomorrow passes a Uniform Civil Code for the entire country. Then what will happen to these personal laws? The personal laws will disappear and the Uniform Civil Code will become part of statutory law. So in Uttarakhand, there is no personal law applicable now. Its place has been taken by the Uniform Civil Code, which has become part of the statutory law in Uttarakhand. So these are the 8 categories of the law of the land. Now we will go back to the constitution is the supreme law of the land. What do you mean by supreme law of the land? It means that the constitution is the highest law in the country. The constitution is the highest law in the country. There is no law above the constitution. When we say the constitution is the supreme law, it means there is no law above the constitution. Or in other words, all these laws are inferior to the constitution. So from 2 to 8, these are all the laws that are inferior to the constitution. They cannot override the constitutional provisions. Or in other words, that they shall conform to the constitution. They cannot violate the constitution. So that is the meaning of the supreme law of the land. It's the most important law in the country. All other laws are subordinate to the constitution. They shall abide by the constitutional provisions. They cannot violate. If they violate the constitutional provision, they will be declared as invalid. On what ground? Being unconstitutional, therefore invalid. So that is the first meaning of the constitution. The second is, the constitution is called the organic law. So the constitution is called organic law. And what do you mean by an organic law? It means a law that gives rise to administrative structure. Any law that gives rise to an administrative structure or administrative system is called an organic law. So what kind of administrative system that the Constitution provides for the country? The Constitution provides for an elaborate administrative system for the country. It provides for vertical organization of the administration and also horizontal organization of the administration for the country. That it provides for the central administration, state administration, and the local administration. So the country is divided into 3 tiers of administrative structures. And thereafter, the Constitution also decides what are the subject matters that will be given to the administrative control of center, states and union territories. And you must be familiar with the 7th schedule to the Constitution, which contains the union list, the state list and the concurrent list. What are they? They are nothing but the subjects over which these 3 have the administrative control. And the union list is given to the control, administrative control of the central government. And what subjects are included under the union list? Subjects which are of national importance, like defense, external affairs, currency, communication, railways, air traffic. So likewise, subjects which are of national importance have been given to the central administration, and the states cannot make laws on this list under the union list. Whereas the subjects which are included under the state list are those subjects which are of regional importance. Like for example, land, then police, law and order. So such kind of subjects which are of regional importance are given to the states. And finally, the local administration, they are given the subjects which are included in the 11th and 12th schedules. So the local subjects, grassroots level subjects, they are given to the local administration. Therefore, there is a clear demarcation of the subjects. There is no or less possibilities for clash, differences, clear demarcation. Apart from this, the central administration is further horizontally separated into executive, legislature and the judiciary. So the executive includes the president, vice president, council of ministers and the attorney general, and also the civil servants who are the permanent the executives, whereas these 4 are the political executive, president, vice president, council of ministers and the attorney general. And they are given the administrative task of carrying on the day-to-day daily administrative tasks. The legislature is the parliament which makes laws for the convenience of the administration of the country, and the judiciary is the Supreme Court that which disposes of the cases and renders justice. Similarly, that the state level also the executive, legislature and the judiciary are separated. Separate tasks are given to them. You do this job, you teach Indian polity, you teach Indian economy. So there is no that intrusion. And of course at the state level, the judiciary includes the High Court and the district courts. Then the local administration again is divided into executive, legislature and the judiciary. So the executive are the elected members to the panchayat and the municipalities, like the mayor, the president of a panchayat, deputy president, etc., deputy mayor. Then the legislatures are the members of the panchayat and municipalities. The judiciary includes the Gram Nyalaya, that is the village courts. So at the grassroots level also we have a judiciary. So thus the elaborate administrative structure is provided by the constitution, and because of this elaborate arrangement that peace and stability is maintained in the country is prevented from getting into chaos and confusion, and the country is also able to defend itself against external and internal forces that are inimical to the country. So these are the things. So without constitution there is no India as a political unit. We know India as a political unit as it stands today. If there is no such elaborate administrative structure provided, the country would disintegrate into smaller units. We cannot have a combined India. So if for some reason the constitution falls, that there is also disturbance to India as a political unit. Then the next is the constitution lays down the ideals and aspirations of the people. So now when India became independent, the people of India decided to organize India into a sovereign country. And while organizing the country, they also set certain goals to be achieved by them. What goals they want to achieve and what are the means they will follow to achieve these goals. So that is, the higher goals set by the people for them to achieve are all set in the constitution. You don't open the IPC to see what are the ideals and aspirations of the people. The only legal document that contains the ideals and aspirations of the people is the constitution. So the aspirations are the goals. And the Indian citizens have set the aspirations as given in the preamble to the constitution as justice. So justice to all. Political, social and economic justice. Liberty. Liberty of thought and expression. And liberty of worship. We will see more in detail when we take up the preamble. Equality. Social, economic, political equality. Fraternity. Fraternity. Fraternity means sense of oneness. That we are all the sons and daughters of the same soil. That is known as fraternity. It is a feeling. Fraternity is a feeling among the people of India that they are the sons and daughters of the same soil. And how these goals are to be achieved? It shall be achieved through establishing India as a sovereign state, socialism, inclusive growth, then secularism, democracy, and republican form of government. So we want to achieve these goals not through undemocratic means but only through democratic means. So these goals are also set in the Constitution. Then the next is the Constitution, fourth characteristic, the Constitution enjoys a special legal sanctity. So it alone enjoys special legal sanctity, whereas all other laws we have seen, they enjoy just legal sanctity, not special legal sanctity, the mere legal sanctity. So they are also legally valid, they are also legally enforceable, but the Constitution enjoys special legal sanctity. Why? Because Constitution is the only document, only authority, only document that has received its power and authority directly from the people themselves. Who gave the Constitution? We the people of India. So in a democracy, who are the ultimate sovereigns? The people are the ultimate sovereigns. Collectively, the collective sovereignty lies with the people. So therefore, the people have made the Constitution and given to themselves. And because of this, the Constitution derives its authority and power directly from the people themselves. Therefore, it enjoys special legal sanctity. Whereas all other laws, they derive their authority from the Constitution. The Parliament derives its power and authority from where? The Constitution. The Supreme Court derives its power and authority from the Constitution. So therefore, they are also legally valid, they are legally enforceable, but they don't enjoy special status. Only the Constitution enjoys special status. Then finally, the Constitution also sets up a relationship between the government, the state, and the people, the citizens. And this relationship is legal relationship, not personal relationship. And this yes? Meaning of? Sanctity. Sanctity means status, authority. Sanctity. Status, position, authority. So, the legal relationship that exists between the government and the citizens is known as the citizenship. So the Constitution also provides for the citizenship. It defines the relationship between the people and the government, which is called citizenship, and the government is responsible for the protection of the citizens. For example, when the war broke out between Ukraine and Russia in February 2022, the Indian government took up the responsibility upon itself to bring back all the stranded Indians in Ukraine back to India safely. So that is exemplified under the citizenship. So thus the Constitution has a special position, and it is the primary law. All other laws, they operate subject to the constitutional limitation. That's the importance of this. Right, now I will give you the timetable for the following week. From next Saturday onwards, you will get the weekly timetable from the portal. So 15th April, Geography by Sanjeev Manocha. 15th April, Geography by Sanjeev Manocha. 16th April, Medieval Indian History by Rohan Srivastava. 16th April, Medieval Indian History by Rohan Srivastava. Then 17th April, Indian Polity by Satvik. 17th April, Indian Polity by Satvik. 18th April, Geography by Shiv Arpit. Then 19th April, World History by Chandraban Singh. World History by Chandraban Singh. And 20th April, Saturday, Geography by Sanjeev Manocha. So these things will get repeated now. 21st April, next Sunday, Medieval Indian History by Rohan Srivastava. So follow this timetable and we will keep meeting. So any doubts that we can discuss later about today's class. If constitution is decided by the commissions and committees which are formed by elected members, why the special sanctity constitution and not statutory laws? Because the sanction given to the parliament through an election is transitory for 5 years. The sanction given to the constitution by the assembly is permanent. Right, thank you. All the best.